Okay, so today is Thursday, April 18th. It is not quite 4:20, but a little fun segue. I just caught up on My Hero Academia, and the last chapter in that currently is 4:20, so that's kind of fun. And it's still going. I don't remember what year this was. I want to say it was like 2022. Maybe it was like around November of 21. I think it was the author had said like if everything goes according to plan, this should be done by the end of the year, and it's still not finished. So I don't know if things haven't quite gone according to plan, if it's just more stuff than he anticipated, or if as he's writing a fight, he's like, this fight's really good. I kind of want to make it go on a little longer. I'm not super sure. I remember reading the end of Naruto and getting very, very burnt out by the time it was done. I was like, it's not that what's going on is bad. Although personally, I didn't like the hot potato between the main antagonists. It's like actually, it's Toby. He's Madara Uchiha, and then turns out no, he's not. He's Obito, which is something you'd already figured out by now if you read Kakashi Gaiden. It's the main antagonist is actually Madara Uchiha, and then it's no, it's not. It's actually Zetsu. You remember the Venus flytrap dude? He's been behind everything the entire time, but he's not the main antagonist. It's actually his mama, which is Kaguya. Because sure, dog, we don't know who the villain is anymore, and just it was so long by that point, and all the roulette going on just made me not care. My Hero is kind of like that. It's not doing the villain roulette. It is very clear the main antagonist is and has always been All For One. Deku's personal nemesis is Shigaraki. I mean, as a one for all user, his nemesis is All For One, but it's like he is the successor of All Might, the way that Shigaraki is the successor of All For One. And in addition to dealing with AFO, in addition to dealing with Shigaraki, you gotta deal with Dabi finally, you gotta deal with Toga finally. Like, it all makes sense, and it just been going on for so long, because I haven't been reading it weekly. I'll just stop, wait a few months, pick it back up, and go, oh, we're still not finished. But now we're doing some endgame shit. I mean, again, with Shigaraki's decay, it's like things can literally get Thanos, and then they're opening portals, and characters are coming through portals for the final fight. I'm like, okay, this is kind of fun. This is kind of neat. It's not that I think what's actually going on in the climax is bad. It's also been several months since I read a lot of the AFO fight. So maybe it doesn't work as well as I think. It's definitely been a long time since I read the fight with Dabi or with Toga. I just think it's a lot. And as someone who's like, cool, I'm excited to see this end, the fact that it still has it, I don't know if I want to say annoying is the right word, but I do feel a bit burnt out, which is why I don't read it ever. It's why I take a lot of breaks from reading it. Now that I'm caught up, I think my next target will be catching up on Talentless Nana. That's been also like a good few months. There's probably a solid like 5 or 6 chapters for me to read. After that, I think I'll probably catch up on Chainsaw Man, which shouldn't be as long, or maybe it is, because I don't remember the last time I read Chainsaw Man. And then I think after that, I want to read Water 7, like the entire saga of Water 7. So I think that's the Foxy Pirates, Water 7, Enies Lobby, and I guess there's another arc after. It's just like the post Enies Lobby arc. I don't know if that's just like a few chapters wrapping it up, or if it's like a whole last thing that happens. So that's manga plan. Book plan. Actually pin in that, because I think I have to talk about something else first. Show plan. So speaking of Shogun, still haven't started it. Like I said, I wanted to watch it with my dad, and so it's like, all right, maybe today, probably not today, maybe today, probably not today kind of shit. I was thinking on Tuesday, I might be working on Wednesday, and that, just kind of a fun story. But I was like, I might be working on Wednesday. If I'm not working Wednesday, I can maybe watch Shogun with my dad. If I am working, then I'm working, and I did work yesterday. I was like, okay, since I'm working today, tomorrow, maybe we can watch Shogun. Now, it's still very early in the day, but the weather is not very good. And the last time we tried to watch Shogun, the weather was also not very good. And it made the internet be like really shitty and it wasn't able to stream very well. So I still want to try it later. I'm just not super confident it'll work. But while I haven't been able to watch Shogun, I have been watching Fallout. I've watched 6 of the 8 episodes and I'm having a very good time with it. I feel like it is important for me to say I'm a very casual Fallout fan. I have never finished a Fallout game. I've played a chunk of 3 and I was playing at a friend's house and then just never got around to finishing it. I know I've played some of New Vegas, but I never finished it. I played a chunk of 4 and there was a point where I just wasn't getting into it as much. But I have watched a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, because they love Fallout. I've watched my friends play Fallout. I've heard them talk about Fallout. So a lot of my Fallout experience is through osmosis, but I've experienced a lot of it through osmosis. And then, also reading Fallout Equestrian Horizons. It's something I really like and really enjoy. So when the show, and I won't go into any spoilers on that here, but when the show starts really getting into Fallout lore, things that happened in the pre-war and things that have happened in the Wasteland, I know some of them are kind of contentious. I've heard some friends be like, I love the stuff we learned about in the pre-war. I've had another friend tell me the point of Fallout is that it doesn't matter who dropped the bomb, so the fact that they're kind of hyping up the mystery of who was behind it, to me it feels like they completely missed the point. I've heard some people talk about, like, when they get into some of the stuff that happened with, like, New Vegas and the NCR, that I absolutely love this and think it's super interesting. I've heard other people say, I hate this with a burning passion. As a very casual Fallout fan, none of it really matters to me. Let me rephrase that. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, it sucks. It's more that I can take this on face value and just think, oh, this is some interesting stuff that I'm learning, without that previous, like, really personal attachment to it. It's like, hey, this is how it feels like to watch an adaptation of something and not get, like, super mad. This is kind of a nice feeling, because I'm really enjoying it. Just taking one pen out, talking about books. It does not at all escape my notice that after I binged Friendship is Magic, and was like, I've been kind of wanting to reread Fallout Equestria. Maybe I should. Like 2 weeks later, the Fallout show drops, and I watch it, and I really enjoy it. I'm like, oh man, I can see what's happening. I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna read Horizons after. But I said that I was taking a break from Worm, and that was to read This Is How You Lose the Time War, Dune Messiah, and the Gender Swap Twilight, although maybe not in that order, but I'm almost done with Time War. I have about 50 chapters left. I have about 50 pages left. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, by the way. One of my favorite things about it is just its title, because I know when I do a video on it, assuming I want to do a video on it, I probably will, I can tell you exactly how the video is going to start, because I know exactly how I'm going to want to start it. I'm going to do the thing from Archer. Like, do you want to lose the Time War? Because this is how you lose the Time War. And I think about that every time I think about the title. It just makes me giggle. But I do like the story quite a bit. But I said when I'm done with all those, then I will go back to Worm. And there's a non-zero chance I will go back to Worm before I'm done with all of those. Because while I do want to take a break, because I've listened to a lot of Worm, I really, really like it and want to finish it. I will not do Horizons until I've done the original Fallout Equestria, and I won't do that until I'm finished with Worm. I don't know about Ward. I feel like I know Ward is basically Worm 2, from my understanding. That might not be quite correct. I would say with where I'm currently at, I'm like halfway through Worm, I'm interested. But probably when I'm done with Worm, I might be like, I'm super burnt out. I don't know when I'll get to it. If I don't like the ending of Worm, I might just say, like, I don't want to read Ward. If I loved the ending of Worm, I might be like, well, all other plans are gone. I'm reading Ward. Let's go, Victoria. Like, I don't really know. But, there's the updates on that. So let me take out the work pen. So, I have been mostly working on Fridays. The reason I worked yesterday is because I didn't work last Friday. The reason I didn't work last Friday is because there was a power outage. What makes that so funny is that is the second time in 2 weeks there was a power outage on Friday. That first week, it was right at the end of my shift. There was like 30 minutes or so left, and most of the stuff I was doing was offline. So I was like, okay, like this, I can't upload what I'm working on right now, but I'm working on Microsoft Word. I can still save it when the power comes back. I can upload it. I can send the emails. It sucks, but it's fine. Then last week was like, okay, we're going to work. We're going to get shit done. Never mind. Also, how did this happen twice in 2 weeks? Like, if I wasn't experiencing it, if I didn't know any better, I would think I was bullshitting, but I'm not actually bullshitting. Like, what the hell? It's like, you know, that the Doofenshmirtz meme? I don't know if I pronounced his name right. But, like, you know, if I had a nickel for every time this has happened, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not much. It's just weird it happened twice. I hope it doesn't happen thrice. I'd be pretty upset, actually. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Hopefully I'm able to... I just fucking noticed Beatrice. Oh, Beatrice! Hopefully it doesn't happen thrice and I can have a completely normal work day tomorrow like I had a completely normal work day yesterday. But, there's that. I did finish Totino and I finished Alan Wake and I did my no ramble on that. And I really enjoyed that video. It was nice to be able to just, like, this has been swirling around in my head for a couple days now. Let me just talk about it. Because I just really, really wanted to talk about Totino. And I want to talk about Alan Wake too. Because Alan Wake as well, not Alan Wake 2. Because I've only played the first one. Because it's a game I enjoyed. And I feel like I was kind of making it sound like the game is, like, bad, but the story's good. I think the game is solid. I don't think it's an amazing game. I think it's a fun game, but it's not like a damn this game is great. But I think the story is what sells it, and I do stand by that. I think if I had read it as a book with how, like, weird and meta it gets, it would have stuck with, like, it still is, like, kind of stuck with me. I enjoyed it. I want to see, like, other things in the series. But I think it would have hit me the way that, like, House of Leaves did, because I love House of Leaves. From what I understand, I could be wrong about this, one of the DLCs of Control is kind of based on House of Leaves, and, like, okay, I'm gonna have to play that. Like, if we do get to Control, that sounds really cool. That sounds hype. Let's see. Speaking of games, I have started Unicorn Overlord. I've played 3 maps, including, like, the tutorial. And I'm gonna be honest, when I was playing the tutorial, I was like, I don't know about this, Chief. This seems weird. Like, okay, like, there's, like, a meter for how many units you can deploy. Like, so that's a resource? Like, how easy is it to get that? Is that gonna be a problem? The fact that it's, like, super active? I mean, I don't super mind that. I played 13 Sentinels. I loved 13 Sentinels. Like, I thought the gameplay was super fun. So, I can do that, but it's a lot of micromanaging. It's like, I like micromanaging, but even for me, that's kind of, I don't know. And then I did a couple more maps. I was like, okay, nah, this is pretty fun. Like, yeah, like, we'll see more as it goes on. I might be like, this game is great, or, like, it's weird. But I'm kind of getting into it the more I play of it, and I didn't play any yesterday. I'm hoping to play some more today, because I'm definitely having a good time. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We've done a bit of moving. As we had a bunch of stuff delivered, so I now actually have a bed frame, which you can't see. Actually, no, you can, because that's, right here. This is the edge of the bed frame. And Bahamut is loving the new bed. He's... Because I noticed before he just wasn't sitting on the bed very much, and I wonder if it was because the orientation was different before than it was in the other house. Like it was more vertical, now it's more horizontal. He's been sitting on it a lot more. Now that there's a bed frame, he can go under the bed, and I know he likes going under beds, and he's been enjoying that a lot. So there's that. See, I mentioned Shoga. Oh, yeah. There was a couple movies that I watched, which I didn't make videos on them, because there's one of them I probably could have. That was Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, because I watched Rise in theaters when it came out, and I just never watched the other ones. I liked Rise. I liked it quite a bit. Never got around to the sequels. And my buddy, and Seven, because the new Planet of the Apes movie is coming out, he's like, cool, I'm going to go watch it, so I'm going to watch all of them. So he started with, like, OG Planet of the Apes, and now he's on War. From what he told, because what Planet of the Apes movies have I seen? Rise, Dawn, I've seen the Burton one, I've seen one of the originals, maybe I've seen a couple of them. I don't know if I've ever actually seen the original Planet of the Apes. From what he was telling me, I think it was, of the OG movies, the second one is not very good, the others are all, like, solid. He was not a fan of the Burton one, and he's loved the two new ones that he's seen. And from what I remember, yeah, Rise was great. I loved Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I don't know when he's going to get around to War. I told him, like, let me know. I want to watch it. And then, what's the next one? I think it's, like, the Empire or, like, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. If we're caught up, I'll probably go see it, because they've been great so far. When does Furiosa come out? Because I don't know, like, Fury Road is probably one of the best movies I've ever seen in theaters. Just the experience of watching Fury Road. I might have to go see Furiosa. But the other movie that I watched was Tron, because I'd never seen Tron. I've seen Tron Legacy. It was actually the first movie I've ever seen in IMAX, weirdly enough. But, oh, I just remembered something else I was going to say. I'm going to put a quick pen. But yeah, like, I had never seen Tron, and my friend, my buddy Wally, was like, I've never seen it. Do you want to watch it with me? He's like, yeah, hell yeah, we will. So, and Seven watched it with us, too, and I had a good time with it. It's one of those movies where I'm like, I don't know, like, in terms of, like, its story and its characters, it's fine, it's likable, it's nothing crazy, but yeah, I love the aesthetics. This world is, I know it from Kingdom Hearts, okay? So, I'm kind of like, oh, I reckon, oh, the light cycle, oh, the solar sailor, like, I'm recognizing a lot of this, like, iconography, and it all looks, I mean, it's really old looking, but it's still neat as hell. And I feel like it's one of those movies where if I had seen this in theaters when it came out, which I don't think I existed yet, but if I did, like, it would have been such a cool experience. And I remember thinking the same thing with Legacy. I was like, I have no context for anything that's going on in this movie, but it looks super cool. There's that. Let me take the pen out. The shirt I'm wearing. So, one of the things I was able to get when, like, a bunch of our stuff got delivered was a wardrobe, which had been my wardrobe for a long time, because I've been living out of a suitcase. Like, I haven't had a dresser in a long time. I'm just like, yeah, I'll, like, my pants and my socks and my undies have just been in a dresser, and then I've been able to hang up my shirts. So, I was able to, like, clear a lot of stuff out, and I had a shirt that was in there, and it's this Madoka shirt of Madoka and Homura from the end of the show, which I remember getting at a con several years ago, and I'll be honest, it doesn't fit super well. Like, it fits, but it's like the material is super tight, and I don't think it's ever fit particularly well. But I was like, look, I'm gonna wear a Madoka shirt to this video. Who's gonna stop me? Me? No. When the new movie comes out, which they had said winter 2024, and I was really, really hoping by winter they meant, like, January winter, but it seems that they meant, like, December winter, which means not only will the movie probably not come out till the end of 2024, but it will be in Japanese, which means I'm not going to be able to see it till, I don't know, like, June 25, whenever it's like, okay, now it's getting released with subs. If they release it simultaneously, and it's like, yeah, here's the movie with English subtitles. Oh, thank goodness. Like, I need that, man. I haven't even seen this fucking movie. I'll probably wear this shirt. It's not gonna be super comfortable, and like, I don't give a shit. I gotta rep my show. When I do a video on it, because I'm gonna have to do a video on the Madoka movie when it comes out. Oh boy. I remember when I watched Rebellion. I remember I watched the movie, went upstairs to my room, and it was like 2 in the morning when I finished it. I sat in my bed contemplating what I just watched, especially the last like 10 minutes. And I remember just this single tear going down my cheek. And the next day was Clay's birthday. And he took me to go see The Winter Soldier, which is a great movie. And the entire time I'm watching The Winter Soldier, I'm like, this is a really good movie. I'm getting really into it. Also, what the hell happened at the end of Madoka? Like, how do I reconcile any of this? And I remember taking this really long walk, just be like, I need to figure this out. Because I know what happened. Does the why and the how make sense? And I got to a point where I realized, yes, it does. It took a long time, but I was able to get to a point where I realized this ending actually makes a lot of sense. As much as I would have loved it to end in a different way, we could have put a nice bow on everything. Excuse me. That is not what the character in question would have done. She would not have done that because she would have thought that this is the thing that makes the most sense for her to do. And I hate how in character this all is. Because, So I can't wait for the next movie. But I know that I am going to be heartbroken. I'm going to be confused. And I'm going to probably need a few days to process and reconcile with whatever the hell it is that I watched. Because I am not going to walk out of that movie spoiling. Let's be honest with ourselves. So there's that. Some of my friends are doing a new Pathfinder campaign, and we're starting at level 3. So my new character is a Kitsune rogue named Benicio. And the reason I named him Benicio is because there was a part where I said to myself, I wasn't sure what class I was going to play at first. I was leaning toward a witch. And then for whatever reason, I really wanted to be a Kitsune. I was like, okay, Kitsune gets a bonus to Dex and Charisma, which is an Ink class, so it's not that they're incompatible, but they're not as compatible. Maybe I should do a class that's very Dex-based or very Charisma-based. So I was thinking Rogue, Bard. I think there was another class I thought about, but I'm not sure what it was. So it was really at that point like Bard or Rogue. And I was like, let me be a Rogue. I'm always a caster. And it's like, Bard sounds so fun. But let me try something that's not magic related. So I picked Rogue. And I was like, okay, I'm a Rogue and I'm a Fox. They will not let me name myself Swiper. Because that's all the thing, is I want my character to be a thief. I'm like, they're not going to let me call myself Swiper. What's the name of Swiper's actor? And Benicio del Toro played Swiper the Fox in that live-action Dora that came out recently. So I was like, okay, that's it. He is Benicio. And I love it. I think the first role I did was a sleight of hand to steal something from a party member. It was like a flask, and the whole thing was he was going to steal it and then just kind of mess with them as an icebreaker. And I rolled a 4, and it was an 18 because level 3 rogue is dumb with skill checks. Oh, it was really fun. I'm enjoying Benicio quite a bit already. Let's see. Pokemon Horizons. I don't talk about it very often, but I do watch it weekly, and I do like it. Maybe I should talk about it more. The new arc is definitely going to be a more Paldea central arc. And I'm a little torn on that. So on the one hand, I'm very excited, because I really like Scarlet and Violet. Technical performance issues notwithstanding, because those are a fucking problem. That game is damn near unplayable at times, and those times can be kind of frequently, unfortunately. But I really liked the vibe. I'm not a big open world guy, but I had always said an open world Pokemon game to me is a perfect sounding game, and I got that. I love a lot of the story beats. I really like Arvin, Penny, and Nimona. I loved all the shit that happened in Area Zero, and I think there's aspects of the DLCs that don't quite work, but I like them a lot overall. And I'm an Ogre Pond stan. It is what it is. So it being all right, we never got our Galar anime. They did the Darkest Day at one point, and it was all right, I guess we're doing this now when it came to Journeys. But I'm happy that we're actually going to be getting some real Paldea focus. That being said, I love that Horizons is just this big world-trotting adventure, and given the recent shit that just happened in the story, it's we're collecting the ancient heroes, and we got to deal with Ray, and Ray is a problem, and the explorers are a problem. Okay, now we're just gonna kind of do Paldea for a bit. It makes sense in context, because I feel the whole vibe of this is okay, it is a training arc. We know we're not strong enough, so we have to train. It's just the really crazy, exciting shit. School. It felt a little jarring, but I think I have a lot of faith in it because Horizons has been great so far. I'm enjoying it. I wasn't crazy about the new opening, though. I don't think it was bad by any means, but I loved that second opening. And I was really sad to see it go. That's mostly it. When it comes to writing, so I'm still taking a break from the VN, partly because I guess that's just VN progress. I have not touched the script in a bit. Like I said, I wanted to take a break, so when I go back to it, I've got more fresh eyes. So that way, I'm a lot more okay, yeah, this line is weird, or this is a section that needs to be written better. This no longer works with other stuff that has happened later in the story. It's because this character's design has come in, I now have to fix some things about how they're described and some of their actions because it doesn't make sense with how they actually officially look now, etc., etc. But I haven't done that yet. I also want Clay to be able to get a little bit further in it before I start going over it, because I do want to see some of his notes. Excuse me. We're having a bit of a delay with our artist right now, and a good chunk of that is because of me. Because I was okay, I know we're working on this. Can I just get a couple designs of some other characters that are completely not part of this project at all? Because I've been writing this character in another story for a bit, and I just think her design is super neat. Can I see her? So they worked on that, and then another was this is my favorite character that I've ever written from a completely different story, and I just got done playing Persona 3 Reload, and I've got Persona on the brain. Could I just get an art of her doing an all-out attack? And I got him, and I was yeah, the delayed the last few character designs we needed. But that's 100% on me. And now they're kind of letting me know it's I just want to take a break for a little bit. Totally understandable. So it'll be a bit before we get the last 3 designs done, but hopefully by around mid-May, the end of May, we'll be getting back on that. And I'm hoping by around that point, I'll start looking back at the VN. I've been working on... Okay, so I feel I should actually start saying, story names instead of just vague terms. It's not even, vague terms to be mysterious. It's just using general terms that works. So Severance is the VN. I am currently breaking on that, but I want to get back into it soon. Orichalcum is the manuscript that I'm working on, and it was the one that I finished last year, and I'm working on book 2. I don't know if I'd say stuck is the right word, but I'm writing this one chapter, and I'm looking at the main character, the character of that chapter, because there's multiple perspectives of main characters. I would say In terms of this part of the story, she's probably the second main character, but she is my favorite of the two. With the way, like, with what's going on in her head, I'm kind of going back and forth. I'm like, how much do I like this? Because I feel like it's like, is this out of character or not? Because I don't think it is, but it's almost like dangerously close, which is kind of interesting because it is like she's going through some interesting shit. It's someone that she fought in book one that nearly killed her, she runs into again, and this character that, you know, like, gave her a huge fight shows up and is completely fine and looks damn near untouched. And it's seeing that as like, that took everything I had to be able to beat you and to be able to get away. I nearly died. You look fine. Me giving everything I had feels like it amounted to nothing. And because this character is, for all intents and purposes, a vampire, it's, you can now, like, track me. You know, I don't feel fear very often, like, ever. But I'm kind of starting to feel it now, and how it's starting to affect her decision making. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I think this makes sense. But I'm also like, because she doesn't really feel fear, and there's this one thing where she's like, I am never going to do this again. And now she's kind of starting to do it, and other people have to convince her, no, don't do it, that's stupid. Like, again, it makes sense to me, but it's kind of on the border. And I think that's kind of interesting. I'm having a little bit of trouble with it, but I'm getting close. I think when I finish this chapter, I'm going to step away from orichalcum for a bit, or I might go back to previous chapters, which I haven't written a whole lot for this book. I think book 2 is going to be kind of, like, girthy. It's like, I got this character, and her whole thing, and you, and your whole thing, and then there's you, and your whole thing, and then there's you two, who are kind of part of your whole thing. You're not going to get a whole lot of chapters, you're going to get a few. I think it sounds messier than it actually is. It's just a lot. Then there's book 3. I'm like, I feel like it's going to be kind of long, so I might just want to touch up some of the earlier chapters, take a little bit of a break. I think I do want to do that. Finish Athena, go back to Emilia, finish her shit, go back to Makoto, kind of clean that up, and then go back to Severance. Although by that point I might be like, alright, now that I've cleaned these up, I know what we're doing, let's stay with orichalcum, because there's a non-zero chance of that. And then, on top of that, I've had Opulent Shoals on the brain. So this is a thing that I've been working on since like 2012. And I've written half of it, because it's 6 books. It's more like 6 novellas. But the more I work on Severance, and the more I've read some other VNs, I'm like, I think I would really like to see Opulent Shoals as a VN. It's not very choice-based. It'd be kind of like Seacat. Like Seacat's in that regard, where it's a more like linear novel. Maybe I don't think there'd really be choices. I like it as just a linear novel. It keeps changing. When I look at a lot of my like stories and ideas, especially things that I've actively worked on, there's oftentimes a lot of things. There's one of the things that makes Severance so interesting to me. Severance really hasn't changed that much. The biggest change in Severance was it was part 1 of 5, and now it's just part 1 of 1. Because I don't think the other 4 were nearly as good. And I wrote the second one, and was like, yeah, I don't think it's that great. And then when it was time to write part 3, which is the one I was super excited for, I was like, I think part 3 is the best. I had no drive to write it. Because I was like, it ended at the end of part 1. Why am I still going? This is a mistake. So it's just part 1 of 1. Now it's part of like a bigger universe now with Clay stuff, and I made some changes for that, and I think they do work. But it's still its own thing, and I like that. But then you got Opulent Shoals, they're just like, alright, this is the idea, this is what's going to be the tone. And then a few years later, all of that changed. It became completely different. And then one time I started actually writing it a few years later, and as I'm writing a scene, this character who I had never put into the story or thought about just showed up in a scene and completely stole the story from that point onwards. Because of her walking into that bookstore, everything changed. And then even from there, I'm like, all right, so this is where the story is going. Well, maybe I want to do something like this. Well, I don't think that's going to work. So we're going back here and, well, maybe I should do this. Okay, now we're really going to do this. But well, if I'm doing this, then this other part of the idea doesn't really work anymore. And I think that part is really important. So now we're doing this. Like the thing in SpongeBob. You're talking about this and this, but now we're talking about this. And that is what this dang thing has been for the past, 12 years. But I think, finally, I got it. And it was a conversation I had with Clay before the cruise. I think it was actually the night before the cruise. Just talking about it and playing around with it because I'm never satisfied with it. Something clicked. And I went, huh. This might be it this time. And I know I say that every time. But this might be it this time. And the more I think about it and the more I'm playing around with it, I'm realizing this is it. Because it kind of fixes all those little problems I've had. It's like, well, the problem with this one was it was too dark, and this one, it was too goofy. And when I did this version, fixed the tone, but it wasn't taking full advantage of its premise. And it's like, okay, well, now I took full advantage of the premise, but now I'm not staying true to the heart of the material. And this one's kind of doing all of that. And it gets to play around with some of the other, fun ideas I've wanted to, but wasn't sure how to do it. I don't know if that made sense. It made sense in my head, and then when I said it out loud, I was like, I don't know, that was a weird sentence. And it lets me do things that, as a writer, I've kind of always wanted to do. I've always wanted to tell, this kind of story, and this kind of story, and this kind of story. And Opulent Shoals is now kind of letting me tell all of those. I think, if I'm understanding it right. Which feels like a weird thing to say about your own story. It's like, okay, if I get what I'm coming up with, if I get my own idea, it's awesome. Which is the hope. Yeah, you hope to love your own idea. But it's finally starting to click. I want to write it so bad. Especially when I look at those first 3 that I've written, I'm like, yeah, I know I'll have to make changes. Obviously, I'll have to also, turn into a VN and shit. I'm like, I know changes are going to have to be made. I don't know how much I really have to change. Of, a lot of the core ideas and the core scenes, a lot of them are still going to be the same. Because as much as it has changed, its core identity never really has. There's just, I guess, other aspects to the story's personality because the story has grown and developed like a character in it has, which is weird. But also, I don't know, in its own way kind of makes sense. The beauty of writing. It's something I've talked about in this this room talk video is getting kind of long, but I think this is my last point. There's an episode of Friendship is Magic, season 4, episode 23. That sounds about right. It's Inspiration Manifestation. It wasn't on my top 26, but it's an episode I'm pretty fond of. If you haven't seen the episode, or you don't remember it, the basic plot is Spike grabs the Necronomicon. Should Spike take the Tome of Eternal Darkness? He gives it to Rarity. Because sure, what better way to impress the girl you like than by giving her the Book of the Dead? Oh, out of context, it's really funny. But anyways, Rarity becomes obsessed with this spell, and I believe it is actually called Inspiration Manifestation, where anytime she gets an idea, she can just snap her fingers and make the idea real. It's like, hey, what if we had golden streets? Bam. Hey, what if I made this birdhouse for Fluttershy and I made it super opulent? Bam. etc., etc., etc. And I remember when I first watched that episode, so 2013, maybe 2014, somewhere in that range, I thought that is the best thing of all time. I would have loved to have that spell. I would have loved to be able to look at this thing that's in my head or that I'm kind of trying to write and go, boom, book done. Here we go, moving on. And I don't think that anymore. And I know I talked about it when talking about the episode. I hate that as an idea because of how much a story can change and I think genuinely improve as you think about it more, as you play around with different ideas, as you just brainstorm and be like, okay, this is a stupid idea, but let me talk about it. And then you talk about it and you're like, wait a second, this is actually, hold on a second, this changes a lot, but it works. Or when you're actually writing and you realize that the plot isn't going the direction you thought it was, but you now kind of like it. Or like I said, while writing, a character just showed up. I like to say, I did not make this character, did not invent this character. She just waltzed into the story, and the story completely changed and was never the same, and I genuinely think it is consistently for the better. That's super interesting to me, and if I could just snap my fingers and make the story real, it never would have happened. It wouldn't be the idea it currently is. A lot of them wouldn't be the ideas they currently are, and I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything. Like, I think what they are now is better than they were. Even like Severance. If I had snapped my fingers, it would have been that 5-book series. And I don't think it would have been as good if it was just, this is one story. So, I think that's it. That's my video for today. I'm hoping that I can finish Time War later today. I think I'm going to try to finish Fallout tomorrow. I didn't actually really watch Survivor yesterday. I got home super late, so I saw Tribal, which was nutty. It was wild. I loved it, but was very confused. So I'm gonna watch the episode. Hopefully, I can get that done today. From what I have heard from people talking about it, this episode was amazing. It was just a really funny, weird, goofy, off-ball, what the hell is going on shit. And then Tribal made it 10 times better because of how nutty it was. But that was it for this one. Happy Thursday. I don't think I say that very often, but it's not that I don't mean it. Have a happy Thursday, have a happy Friday, have a happy week, rest of the month. I can't wait for it. Is April 30th a Thursday? I don't know, but April 30th is one of my favorite days of the year, just because of it's gonna be May. It's stupid, but it makes me laugh every year, and I'm looking forward to it. And knowing me, it's gonna be April 30th. I'm not even gonna realize it. And then at some point, I'm going to see the date, and then I'm going to have a fucking brain blast. But, that's it for this one. Hopefully April 30th is on a Thursday. And maybe May 1st. If it's May 1st, like, I'm still going to go, it's gonna be May, and whatever. Anyways, I'll see you later. Bye.